Okay, folks, it's Mike Messier, and we're going to do a little discussion on why I personally feel that the term sports entertainment is detrimental to the WWE. And you might be thinking, well, Mike, WWE is sports entertainment. Sports entertainment is WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. Why could that term be detrimental if that's what it is? Well, because it wasn't always this way. Most of you probably know, World Wrestling Federation, before that, World Wide Wrestling Federation, and basically, and even Capital Sports Wrestling, if you want to go there, and that's a whole other story. But point of the matter is this, folks: you wouldn't go to see a film, you wouldn't go see a Vince Vaughn comedy film and say, I'm going to go see the Vince Vaughn vehicle comedy film, or I'm going to see the Judd Apatow sublime melancholy humor film, or I'm going to see the Scarlett Johansson sci-fi film. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm trying to speak a different language, but I think you get the idea. You don't buy a ticket to see a film, and when you go see the movie, it's got like the genre of the piece in the name of the piece. So when pro wrestling, yes, it's still pro wrestling, and now apparently they're blurring out the word wrestling on Superstars of Wrestling on the network, and just ridiculous. I mean, Vince McMahon has got a real problem with just he promotes professional wrestling, yet he's ashamed of it, and I've said that for a long time. The WBF, the XFL, the movies, the horror films that he's done, all these things that McMahon does outside of wrestling. It's, hey, Vince, your grandfather promoted wrestling, your father promoted wrestling, your kids promote wrestling sometimes when Shane honors us with his presence. Why can't you just say you're a fucking wrestling promoter? Why is that such a shameful thing for you, Vince McMahon Jr.? So just that fact that I don't get it, because sure, it's fine to expand. It's fine to do other things. But if you're actually putting together wrestling rings with ropes and canvases, but you want to blur out the word wrestling, assholes, that's what you promote. I mean, then do something else. I mean, the circus, the Barnum and fucking Ringling Brothers no longer is around, so why don't you take over the circus world? If you're so ashamed of pro wrestling, God forbid you be thought of as a wrestling promoter, McMahons. I just don't get it. So why is sports entertainment, just to really drive this home, this term sports entertainment, and even World Wrestling Entertainment, why are these terms detrimental? It's not it's just so insulting. If you're a pro wrestling fan and you watch World Wrestling Federation, the mystique of those initials, WWF, it had a nice ring to it. You're going to a WWF show, World Wrestling Federation, yeah, guess what? You know you're in for entertainment. You know you're in for the ring announcer and the referee and all these wonderful things. The wrestlers coming out to the ring and wrestling. But if you're going to say it's sports entertainment, well, I think this was, I want to say Tony Schiavone or Bruce Pritchard or Steve Austin, one of those guys I want to give the credit. Or maybe it was Shane Douglas, because he says a lot of smart things about this stuff. Or Mick Foley, somebody said it, which was, no kid ever said, I want to grow up and be a sports entertainer. The kid says, I want to be a fucking pro wrestler. Or if he's a little kid, I want to be a wrestler, daddy. Doesn't say I want to be a sports entertainer, okay? So I just get sick of it, because it seems like the McMahons, Vince especially, he seems to get bored, like when he's doing well. Take it, for example, 2001, a very pivotal year in all this madness. And instead of saying, okay, I just bought WCW, I'm buying the library, whatever that's worth, of ECW, now I'm going to have my little dynasty, and now with wrestling, I'll compete with the NFL or the NBA or HBO or anything that's popular at the time, which would have been the Sopranos and all these things. Vince could have gone toe-to-toe with those fucking companies, and that's when I was trying to work for the company, for WWE, as a writer. And I had ideas that really would have helped with that. But instead, he has to run off and do football. I've conquered wrestling, pal. I'm going to do football. I'll take over the NFL. Damn it, I'll do the XFL. Well, that didn't work out. Now, 17, 18 years later, McMahon's trying to do the XFL again, which I'm not convinced it's going to happen. I mean, I'm jumping on, and I think Conrad Thompson was very cynical about them even ever playing a game. And I could see them not playing a game. It could be successful, couldn't, I don't know. Why? Who needs the XFL? There's not enough, if you really think about it, is there enough quality players in the NFL? If there was, would there be so many teams that are marginal every year? I mean, there's 5 or 6 teams that are in the conversation every year. And there's some ebb and flow and some give and take with that. But Patriots, maybe the New York Giants, last couple of years, the Falcons, obviously, and obviously the Eagles, and Seattle. But how many teams in the NFL are actually in the conversation to go to the Super Bowl any given year? Maybe 5 or 6? And if that would, no offense, but come down to personnel, meaning that the NFL players, there's not enough good players to go around with all those teams. I mean, football, and yes, it's tons of college players, tons of fucking players, but are they a high quality that people want to sit there and watch them play games? Didn't work the last time, and there was probably more athletes of higher quality playing football 17, 18 years ago. So the whole XFL is fucked, no offense. And, or it could be fucked. But why doesn't McMahon just concentrate on wrestling and stop being ashamed of being a pro wrestling promoter? You're blurring out superstars of blah. It's not superstars of wrestling? Are you kidding me? What's wrong with you people? It's still World Wrestling Entertainment. But they're blurring out the word wrestling from superstars of wrestling. I mean, it's just so goddamn ridiculous. And it's really up to each and every one of us fans to say, fuck you and your stupid bullshit. And look, I'm really at a crossroads because for me, it's almost like I don't know if I want to watch current product anywhere because you've got things like Dick Druids and All In, and some people, I respect them. Evan Ginsberg says, hey, it's just 5 minutes off a 4-hour show. But to me, it taints it. It ruins it. And I've gone back and forth with Joey Ryan on Twitterville, and I do say that Joey's a nice guy, and I give him a hard time for his gimmick, but it's not out of hatred to Joey Ryan, the person. It's out of hatred to his gimmick. And people say, well, don't watch it. Well, he's everywhere. And it's one of those fires that, people put water on it, put Epsom salt on the fire, if that works. I mean, don't try it at home. I don't know if Epsom salt can put out a fire, but what I'm saying is when you go to the indie-rific world and you see silly fucking gimmicks just as bad as WWE sometimes, you kind of slap your head and say, is this shit worth watching anymore? I mean, I've got other things to do with my goddamn life, believe it or not. So, any fucking way. I just thought I'd share some fucking thoughts. Did I explain fully why sports entertainment sucks? I tried to. Really what it comes down to is if you have to spell out what your product is, like you don't go to a national football game and say, I'm going to the football game where guys bonk their heads against each other and try not to die from a concussion and try to score a touchdown with a ball and fuck cheerleaders and fuck models and get a lot of money game. You say, I'm going to a football game. You know what I mean? So if you're going to a wrestling match, just go to a goddamn wrestling match. You don't have to be ashamed of it. You don't have to spell it out. And when the wrestlers say, I want to win that WWE title, that World Wrestling Entertainment title, it just sounds so chintzy and weak. Because you're basically saying, you're tipping the fucking hat to that this is fake, this is phony, this is bullshit. And yes, we fucking get it, assholes. Kayfabe is dead, sports entertainment, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you're killing the mystique of your own fucking product. It's like going to see a magic show. I'd like to go see the guy pretend to cut the lady in half, but it's really a mirror box and a rubber sword or a rubber fucking saw. I mean, it's just, and people, think, oh, you're living in the dark ages or you're fucking, but I'm sorry. It's just a declining interest of mine to tolerate the WWE and their bullshit. I mean, I defended these fucking company for years when they've done bullshit. And what do you mean defended it? Trust me, I have. And so now it's just harder, okay? So there you fucking have it. World Wrestling Entertainment is a lousy goddamn name. They should have talked to the fucking panda of assholes. And I've never supported the World Wildlife Fund either. I've never given $1 to those creeps because they're tainting my childhood. When I put on the WWE Network, when I have it, and I see these blurred turnbuckles of Rock Hogan at WrestleMania 18, that causes me a little bit of pain, okay? It's disgusting. So what McMahon should have done is said, look, panda assholes, we'll give you $1 million a fucking year. Let us have our WWF. You get $1 million donation every fucking year for doing nothing. And we get to keep the World Wrestling Federation. That's what I would have done if I was Vince. And people say, well, you're not Vince. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I wasn't born a goddamn McMahon. People give Vince McMahon all this credit that he took this cigar smoky arena filled. No, fucking assholes. He bought an $8 million company from his father for $1 million. His father gave him the company pretty much because he wanted to keep it in the family. Nepotism, idiots. So I don't know what else to tell you. World Wrestling Entertainment name sucks. It's foul. It's disgusting. We've had it for about 16 or 17 years. We're all sick of it. Time flies. We all watch too much goddamn wrestling. And, there you fucking have it. So WWE, the name sucks. So forth. Sports entertainment, the term sucks. It should just be professional goddamn wrestling. Professional wrestling, or pro wrestling, as I like to call it, rolls off the tongue like so much honey and butter. And if these NWA people want to make a goddamn mark in this fucking world, maybe they shouldn't have dick druids and taint what they're trying to do. You can't have a fucking Cody and Nick Aldis match. Well, I guess you can because you did. And then have these fucking dick druids flopping around like idiots. I mean, the joke that I can make, which is funny, is that will any of these dick druids grow up to be the next CM Punk and do your WrestleMania 22 John Cena fucking CM Punk in the trench coat, that gimmick for your reference. So any fucking way, I hope everyone has a good Sunday. NFL's starting, and that's a whole other fucking headache for everybody. We have to watch these guys bonk their heads against each other and sit on their knees and sit on their heads and so forth and so on. And we'll see what happens. I mean, do I have any thoughts on the NFL? Not really. Okay, that's another waste of my goddamn time. So Mike Messier, distancefromavalon.com, MikeMessier.com. If you want some real intellectual insights into the goddamn world, people should be helping me make my goddamn movies for a change. Giving me money to make my fucking films. Not sit here and talk about this bourgeois fucking wrestling and football. Mike Messier. God damn it.